Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. So I know most of you are waiting for this video because I posted on the community tab in the morning that I'm going to share the course syllabus, I'm going to talk about the launch date announcement, where to watch all the videos, and we will be doing live projects as part of our DevOps course. Okay, so without wasting any time, for somebody who was not following our previous videos, just to let you know that we are starting a free DevOps course, and it will be a 40 to 45 days of course. It would be starting first week of January. Most probably, I'm thinking to start it by 6th or 7th of January. And like I mentioned you today in this video, I'll be talking about the course syllabus. So why this is important is because for you to follow my DevOps videos or the free DevOps course that I'm going to make, it is essential for you to understand what is the course syllabus, what I'm going to cover as part of this 40 to 45 days, and what will we be actually doing, how about the doubts that you people have. Let's say I'm going to talk about a specific topic, and if you have a doubt, what I'm going to do, because these videos will be uploaded onto the YouTube, onto the Abhishek.Veeramalla channel, and they are not going to be live. So in case you have any doubts, I'm going to come live once in a week and I'm going to address all your questions. And most of you already know that I'm pretty active on the comment section as well. So if you have any questions, you can directly reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can also post your questions on the comment section and I'll address all of those questions. So, okay, without wasting any time again, so I'll talk about all the 45 days of journey. What are we going to do from day 0 to day 45? So watch the entire video, because like I always mention to you, your feedback is very important for me. In case you feel that I need to add any new topics to this existing curriculum or the syllabus, or you feel that I'm taking more time in any specific topic, please let me know in your suggestions or feedback in the comment section, and I can modify if possible, or we can talk on the comment section or on LinkedIn if you have any feedback for me. So day 0, that is today, what I'm going to do is we'll cover the core syllabus. So we'll be launching the core syllabus and we'll do a granular breakdown. By granular breakdown, I mean to say I'll talk what is day 1, what is day 2, what is day 3, all of those information topic by topic. And like I mentioned, you course will be launched on 6th or 7th of January. Mostly after that, every day I'll be posting one video, and each video will be across 1 hour or 1.5 hours at the most, depending upon the length of the video. And if that goes too lengthy, maybe we can upload it in 2 parts or a single part. I don't think that is a much issue, but every day I'll try to post a video, and once in a week I'll try to come to live so that I can answer any of your questions. What is day 1? That would be 6th or 7th of January. What we'll do is we'll talk about DevOps. Because this is a DevOps course, you need to understand what is DevOps, understand the background of DevOps, right? Why has DevOps evolved? So basically, if you give any DevOps interview, the most common question that people ask you is, what is DevOps according to you? And trust me, this is a very important question, because if you're not able to answer what is DevOps, no matter what you're learning, no matter the number of tools that you need to explain DevOps in a way that the interviewer is able to understand that, okay, you have worked on DevOps, you have some practical understanding, or a good view of what DevOps is and what a DevOps engineer has to do. So that is what we'll try to learn. And also we will see why DevOps. So DevOps is a term that has coined probably 10 or 15 years ago, but the term has become popular in last 7 to 8 years, right? Or at the most last 10 years. So why has DevOps become so popular? What happened? And what were people doing before evolution of DevOps, right? Because even before 10 years, companies like Amazon was there, company like Microsoft was there. So what were they doing before these, the evolution of DevOps? So we'll see what is the reason for the birth of DevOps, and what happens if there is no DevOps, and what is the advantage of using DevOps. So with DevOps, what are we going to achieve? So that would be your day 1. And like I mentioned to you, we'll always try to understand in a practical scenario. So we'll try to see all of these things that we are trying to cover. We'll see in the perspective of a company. So let's say you're working in an organization called example.com. So we'll try to understand the importance of DevOps for example.com, and we will see what example.com has achieved by implementing DevOps. So it is a pseudo company, the company that doesn't exist, but we will take these examples for our practical understanding. After that, day 2 is software development lifecycle. So you might ask me, I'm not learning programming, or I'm not going to do a complete computer education, but why should I learn software development lifecycle? So software development lifecycle is very essential. No matter what you are doing, whether you are a tester, whether you are a DevOps engineer, whether you are a developer, you should always know about software development lifecycle, and you should able to practically, or you should able to visualize why DevOps has become important in this software development lifecycle. So before DevOps, how was software development lifecycle being implemented? And with the birth of DevOps, or with the implementation of DevOps, how has this software development lifecycle changed? By change, I mean we would only look at the positives, and also we will also look at the negatives. And after that, real-time project explanation for DevOps and SDLC with DevOps. Like I mentioned in the previous slide, we will also see the real-time implementation of DevOps with the SDLC. After that, now you understood what is DevOps, you understood what is software development lifecycle. Now we will actually start with the DevOps tools and concepts. So the very first thing that everybody should understand, or every DevOps engineer should have basic knowledge, is with Linux, virtual machines, and shell scripting. So these are some things that you should essentially know. Definite, I mean, these are something that without these things you cannot progress in your DevOps career. So that's why firstly we should start with from a server. So if you see here, we'll try to learn what is server. Then we will try to understand the difference between physical servers and virtual machines. Like, do not jump onto virtual machines directly. If you don't understand the concept of physical server, you don't understand the concept of a data center, how a data center is implemented, why system administrators were implementing data centers. If you don't understand those concepts, if you jump to virtual machine, then that will not be of any use, right? Now let's say you become a DevOps engineer, AWS DevOps engineer or Azure DevOps engineer. You try to implement all these high level networking concepts for your organization, but you don't have a basic understanding of L1 to L7, that is the networking layer stack or physical machines, how these physical machines are connected, how these virtual machines are implemented using hypervisor. It is of no use. And anyone can directly go to your AWS screen or OpenStack, or someone click a button, after that click another button and get a virtual machine. That is not something that we are going to look at, that anybody can do, right? Even without this course, anybody can understand that. But with this course, we will do granular breakdown. We'll understand what is physical server, what is virtual machine, how they are different from each other, how virtual machines have solved the problems of physical servers, all of these things. Then, like I mentioned, what is hypervisor? How to create virtual machine is something that we'll definitely see, right? We'll take AWS. I will show you how to create an account with AWS at this point of time. I'll show you how to create a virtual machine, or EC2 instance is something that we call in AWS. On AWS or Azure also, we can take a look at. And then we will see what are the real-time project implementations for virtual machines. Now, we'll talk about the continuation of virtual machines, like creating a virtual machine on AWS, creating virtual machine on Azure, how to automate this process. As a DevOps engineer, every day you might have to create 10, 15 virtual machines, or your organization has to create a lot of virtual machines. So always automation is the key. So we will see how to automate the process. There are a lot of things, cloud formation templates or the other thing. Azure Resource Manager, depending upon the platform that you're on, or if you're on OpenStack, there are heat templates. So I'll talk about all of these things. Like, one thing you should understand is, in this course, you will get the breadth of the knowledge. I'll not be talking about all the tools that are present. Practically, technically, that is not possible. I cannot teach you heat templates. I cannot teach you CFT, cloud formation templates, Azure Resource Manager. Teaching all of these things will take months together. What I'll provide you as part of this training is practical knowledge, breadth of the knowledge, practical implementation, real-time implementation. That is something that you can expect from this course. Then, basics of Linux. Like I told you, without Linux, without virtual machines, without shell scripting, it would be practically impossible for you to survive as a DevOps engineer. So that's why I'll teach you the basics of Linux. That is the fundamentals of Linux operating system. We'll try to differentiate, because most of the people coming from college, or many people use Windows laptops at their home. So you'll try to understand what is the difference between Windows and Linux, why Linux has become so popular, and why you have to be very comfortable with Linux. And apart from this, there is one fundamental thing that you should understand, is why Linux is used everywhere in the production environments, right? So At your home, you are using Windows, you're using Linux, you're using Mac OS, but on the production servers, most of the people use Linux. What is the reason for it? What is the fundamental advantage of using Linux? That is something that we need to understand. Then shell scripting. Many people who are following my channel must have seen the shell scripting videos that we have done. So most probably we will cover the similar kind of things, or on the day 6 we'll learn the similar kind of things. But on day 7, I'll teach you practical. Like whenever we were doing the shell scripting videos, people were asking, can you share some real-time use cases? Can you share what how shell scripting is used in your DevOps day-to-day role, or all of these sort of questions. So that is something that we'll try to cover in day 7. And in day 8, I'll show you some shell scripting interview questions. When I say shell scripting, we will also cover Linux, virtual machines, all of these things. Till day 8, whatever we learned, we'll try to understand that with perspective of a interview, right? In an interview, if you are attending interview with the knowledge that you have till now, till day 8, what are the questions that you can expect, how to solve these questions, how to I'll show you, like in live we'll write these scripts, or whatever is possible. I'll also give you some assignments. Of course, it's up to you if you want to complete those assignments or not, but if you do them, it would be really, really helpful. Then on day 10, what we'll try to do is we'll try to take a look at version control system. Okay, sorry, I missed day 9 here. Yeah, on day 9, we'll try to learn about version control systems. So before Git, I know everybody is interested to learn about Git, but even before Git, you should understand the concept of version control system. So by now you should be understanding what my course is and how I am going to explain you the DevOps, right? I'll not teach you what is Git, but before that I'll teach you what is version control system. I'll not teach you virtual machines, but before that I'll teach you how virtual machines have come into picture, how physical virtual machines have overtaken, or are dominating the world of physical servers as software development cycle. So this is something is called as a practical or foundational knowledge that you have to gain. So that is my aim for this complete DevOps course. So firstly, we'll start with version control systems. What is a version control system? Why they are used? What is the difference between centralized and distribution control system? And then we'll come to Git. So then in Git, we'll see why is Git so popular? Can you host your own Git servers? And fundamentally how Git is working. After that, you will see some of the most popular Git commands and why Git is used for a DevOps engineer. This is your crux, right? So this is something that you might be looking at. Okay, you understood everything about Git. You know some Git commands, but you should understand why and where these Git commands are used in a DevOps engineer life. So that is something that I'll show here. Then we'll progress to GitHub. Okay, now you might be asking me, can you teach me GitLab, or can you teach me Bitbucket, Stash? There are different distributions. Most of them are implementing the same thing: GitLab, Bitbucket, GitHub. See, once you know one of these tools, it's okay. Like, even if you are giving an interview, you can directly say that I know the fundamentals of Git, I know the concept of Git, I know, I have worked on GitHub for 2 to 3 years. So I think GitHub and Bitbucket, all of them are mostly similar. I don't have practical implementation or practical knowledge of Bitbucket, but I know that most of them are always similar. Given a chance, I can immediately learn Bitbucket in a couple of days, or 5 to 6 days, or a week, couple of weeks of time. Okay, so we'll see what is GitHub, difference between Git and GitHub, and we'll see the additional features like real-time project implementation in GitHub. If you have a project, let's say you have an open source project, how do you put that in GitHub? How do you collaborate on that project? How do you create organizations? If you want to collaborate to your project on GitHub, open source project you have created, and you want 5 to 6 other people to add to that GitHub repository. So we'll see how that is done in teams and organizations. And for collaboration, we'll take a look at issues, pull requests, and webhooks as well. Now we'll start with the basics of AWS. Once you know all of these things, then we'll proceed with AWS. I have seen most of the people just starting the DevOps journey with AWS, which is completely wrong. You might think that you'll understand AWS directly, or you might join other courses where people start with AWS saying that they're teaching AWS DevOps, but always follow all of these things, start with your basics and then proceed with AWS. And even here, the course will not cover AWS in a complete stretch. What we will do is, till now you have gained knowledge of virtual machines, you have gained knowledge of Git. So only these things you will try to learn with AWS. Okay, so that is the knowledge that you are, that is the pattern that we are going to follow. So if you learn AWS completely on a one single stretch, you'll not be able to understand anything on AWS, right? Because let's say I started with AWS now. You don't know the concept of CI/CD. And what if I explain you the AWS CI/CD, like AWS code build or pipelines? That will not be of no use, any use, right? So that's why what we'll do here is we'll only learn about the basics of AWS. That is introduction to platform as service, infrastructure as service, software as service, and then we will go to AWS. Like again, do not jump onto AWS. You should understand the concept of PaaS, IaaS, and SaaS, and then go to AWS. See what is EC2 instance in AWS, some AWS CLI concepts, how to create multiple AWS EC2 instance at once, and then again we'll not be looking at S3 buckets or volumes or something else, right? Because till this point you only know about this much, so you'll only be looking at this concept of AWS. And once you gain further knowledge like configuration management, again you'll learn about the containers, and then you go to the advanced concepts on AWS. So that's why we'll be, like I said, we'll not be learning everything in a stretch. We'll do breakdowns and we'll learn AWS in a step-by-step approach. Then we'll proceed with configuration management. So by configuration management, we'll try to understand how all of these servers, like for any organization, there are hundreds of servers, thousands of servers, or millions of servers when you're talking about huge organizations like GitHub, or you're talking about Amazon.com. So there are millions of servers. So however, all of these servers are managed. Let's say there is a security patch that you have to put on all of these millions of servers. These servers are different configurations, right? Some of them are Windows, some of them are Linux, some of them are CentOS, Ubuntu. So how do you install a patch on all of these millions of servers? It's not possible for one DevOps guy to log into all of these million servers one by one and install the patches. By then, you will be aged, and the security bug will get into your organization, and your organization will be hacked. So for that, there is a concept called configuration management. We'll talk about the concept. We'll see one of the popular configuration management tools, that is Ansible. We'll talk about the Ansible basics, how to set up Ansible installation, Ansible roles. We'll try to build a live project on Ansible, and then we'll see Ansible Tower. And finally, we'll talk about the problems with Ansible, right? By now, you built a live project on Ansible, so you should also understand some of the problems with Ansible. There is no such tool which does not have any drawbacks, right? So we should also learn about the drawbacks, because in interviews people might ask you like, okay, you're using Ansible, tell me what are the problems that you faced with Ansible. So you should be able to answer such questions. And then day 15 and day 16, you'll learn about the infrastructure as code. So like configuration management, you also have some concept that is very popular in DevOps, that is called infrastructure as code. What is infrastructure as code? The primary concept is that let's say you have AWS and you want to create resources on AWS. Like I mentioned, for OpenStack, there is heap template. For AWS, there is CloudFormation template. For Azure, there is resource manager, that is Azure Resource Manager, which are automations that can create resources on AWS, Azure, and OpenStack respectively. Respectively. So to avoid learning these number of tools, there is a popular tool in the community, or there is a popular concept in the community, that is called infrastructure as code. So you will try to learn about infrastructure as code. The popular tool one such is Terraform, which basically talks with the APIs of these virtual machines, and they have common templating language that can work on all of these popular cloud providers. So you will learn about all of those things, and again, you will see some live projects and problems with Terraform, and how those problems can be addressed. We'll learn about that as well. Then we'll proceed with the AWS intermediate level. Okay, so here in the intermediate level, you'll learn about more concepts like EBS, volumes, elastic IPs, Lambda functions, serverless computes, virtual private, VPC, and the other concepts. And here we'll also build some live projects, because whenever you are doing any practical thing without live projects, that will not be any useful. So we'll see how to save cost on your organizations, which is the fundamental thing why a DevOps engineer is hired, right? So once a DevOps engineer is hired, one of the main things that is expected is to maintain reliable systems, and the other thing is to reduce the infrastructure cost. So we'll see how to reduce those things, and how to keep the system secure, secret management, public private systems. So how do you build a public private system? We'll also see about those things. Day 20, we'll see how projects are handled in real world. Like, when you work in an organization, so all these things will be tracked as part of some tickets, or, they are tracked as part of some, whenever you learn something, you share it with your colleagues. So how these things happens, how do you share the knowledge? How do you implement them? How do you handle the tickets? How does your manager know what you are doing today? Or how does your manager know what is the progress of the project, what is the current status, all of these things. So we'll see about the project management tools. Finally, we'll be moving to CI/CD. I know many people must be, there is a myth that if you know CI/CD, you know DevOps. That's a complete myth. So going ahead, going into the future, what you will see is that the CI/CD process will be completely automated. So don't think that if you know just CI/CD, you will be hired for a DevOps position. And I've seen many projects, people only talk about CI/CD when they talk about DevOps. That's not at all the thing. CI/CD will be least bothered going into the future. People will be more and more looking at the container orchestrations. People will be looking at the monitoring, observability, building secure systems, building reliability. These are the things that would be expected from a DevOps engineers. Uh, so if you see even today, there are tools, by just your graphical user interface or by some click of buttons, it can completely set up your CI/CD process. So yeah, it is well and good to learn about CI/CD, but do not start with CI/CD, or do not assume that if you just can build a pipeline using Git, Jenkins, and you can deploy it onto your Docker or Kubernetes, that's it, you are done with DevOps. It's nothing like that. Okay, so but we'll take plenty of time. We'll take 4 days to learn about CI/CD. We'll do live projects. We'll build live projects using Jenkins. We'll build live projects using GitHub Actions. We'll talk about CI/CD interview questions, all of the other things that are given in other courses. But in my course, CI/CD will not be the first one that we are learning. Okay. Then we'll move to reporting and escalations. So we'll see about service now release processes. Like as a DevOps engineer, you are also responsible for the build and release process. So you will see how this build and release process works in GitHub. Then one of the popular concepts, that is containerization, right? So we'll again take good amount of time to learn about containers, what introduction to the world of containers. So like we learned about the virtual machines, what we'll do here is we'll not directly jump into containers. We'll see why the containers inception has happened, why the containers were born. You'll see how are they different from virtual machines and physical servers. So you'll try to compare at this point physical servers, virtual machines, and containers. And then once you understand the concept of containers, you'll see how the containers are small in size, what has happened, all the other things that are involved with containers. Then you will start looking at how to write a Docker file. Docker is one of the popular things, but there are other things like Builder. Builder can also, any OCI complaint, that is any OCI complaint, Docker, or sorry, container files can be built and deployed onto Kubernetes or any other platforms. But typically Docker is very popular, and these days the adaptability of Docker is widely accepted. So we'll use Docker here, but I'll also talk about the other tools like Builder, how you can build containers using Builder as well. Not just you can write Docker files and build them, but there are other options as well. But primarily we'll focus on Docker. And then we'll build some live projects on Docker. You will see how to write multi-stage Docker files, how to reduce the size of your Docker container. We'll talk about Docker mounts and volumes, Docker compose, interview questions, and a lot of other things. Okay, after that, we'll talk about Kubernetes. So even with Kubernetes, we will do the same approach, right? We'll talk about the live projects on Kubernetes. We'll take about look. We'll see how to set up Kubernetes installation. We'll deep dive into the concepts of pod deployment services, ingress. I think most of the people who are following my channel, they already know that I have a Kubernetes playlist where I have covered all of these topics. But again, as part of the DevOps course, we'll try to cover all of these things in one single stretch. If you want a detailed or deep dive on each and every topic, they're already present on my YouTube channel. At that point of time when I'm discussing, I'll also point you to the references on my channel. But nevertheless, we are taking 5 days for Kubernetes, so we have plenty of time, ample enough time to learn about Kubernetes, build live projects on Kubernetes, see what a DevOps engineer's responsibility on Kubernetes. It's just not about deploying your applications on Kubernetes. There is lot of other things that are involved with Kubernetes. Again, most of the DevOps channels I've seen just deploy an application onto Kubernetes, your role is done. But as a DevOps engineer, you have to do a lot of other things. You have to write your own admission controllers. You have to build your Kubernetes operators, write your Kubernetes controllers. A lot of things are there with Kubernetes. So I'll talk about all of those things. Then we'll move with the AWS advanced topics. So advanced topics are something like how to build AWS multi-region, failovers, backups, EKS, that is Elastic Kubernetes Cluster, build CI/CD solutions with AWS, cost optimization, and other things on AWS. And then my favorite, that is monitoring systems and observability. Many people might not like it because they are slightly complicated, but essentially monitoring and observability is very important, because to build a system, I think anybody can build it. But if you have to build a robust system, that system has to be involved with a lot of monitoring and observability to always report the problems, tell you how your system is behaving, and the system should also be able to auto correct when there is some fault with the monitoring. So we'll see all of those things. We'll see how to report, how to observe, build some monitoring systems on Kubernetes, we'll see how to build monitoring systems on your cloud provider. We'll see how to build your monitoring systems for your application. So these are the three main pillars of monitoring, right? Build monitoring system for your application, build monitoring system for your cloud provider, build monitoring system for your Kubernetes or container orchestration solution. Finally, we'll do again a live interaction with all the viewers and subscribers. If they want me to repeat on a specific topic, or if they have questions on a specific topic, or what I'm planning is, I'm also planning to bring a guest lecture. Bring a guest who is going to talk about some, their DevOps experience. They are going to share the DevOps experience. I've already brought many DevOps experts onto my channel where they shared their experiences. So I'm planning to do again the same thing at the end of this DevOps course. And we'll also collect the feedback on what do you think about the DevOps course? Should we add something more to the course, or should you want me to explain about a specific topic one more time? So all of these things. And finally, we'll conclude the DevOps course once everything goes smooth. I'll take all of your feedback from the live session, and final thanks for the completion of the course. That would be 40 days after the beginning of the course. So this is the agenda, or this is the course syllabus that I'm planning. And did I go on mute? Just a second. No, I'm not mute. Yeah, perfect. So this is the course agenda that I was planning. I hope you all like the course agenda. If you have any comments or feedback, do share with me, because we have close to 6 to 7 days before we actually start the course from day one. This is just the day 0. So if I find that your course is your feedback is valuable, or it is something that I can adjust during the 6 to 7 days, I'll definitely take your inputs and I'll correct accordingly. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to share as part of this video. And uh, anything else? Yeah, I think I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for joining. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, don't forget to subscribe my channel, and do share this video with as many people as possible, any DevOps aspirants or anybody who is willing to learn DevOps, because that's the main intention. The main intention for this course is to teach DevOps and make DevOps available for wide range of audience, or anybody trying to learn DevOps for free. This should be a single point of reference, or anybody want to learn DevOps for free, they should be benefited from this course. Yeah, thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye.